Lloyd, Fray, president of the Bermuda Cricket Board. We're going to talk cricket. We're coming towards the end of another season.
Sure.
But on the field, the game looks a bit out of sorts. Mm-hmm. Administratively, what are we looking to do to try to enhance the game on the field for the 2018 season?
Mm. Well, from to get the answer to that, I'll tell you what we've been doing from the board for the past few years. And the board has, for the few years, putting in a strategy and has a strategy in place. And the question you just raised is quite a broad question, mm-hmm. In terms of what's being delivered on the field versus mm-hmm. what the administration is doing. But this strategy has been a rolling strategy mm-hmm. for us, and we've identified at least 6 elements, or what we consider pillars, to help bring the game and to raise the standard of the game of cricket in Bermuda. And under those pillars, there's initiatives that take place, and those initiatives that we truly believe in, that needs to be done to get those standards up. And so with those pillars, we've created the various committees, and these committees work diligently and hard to make sure that those initiatives are being carried out. Now, so the game itself, in terms of what we're doing for the game, I believe is going in the right direction. In terms of the standard of cricket, we're still got work to do. So when you say out of sorts, I mean that can go either.
I'm talking about the standard of the game.
Okay, we're talking about standard,
yeah.
And that's where that we're going to see that over time, because of those building blocks that we've been doing for the past 3 to 4 years are now starting to take shape. And so there's more cohesiveness now with the clubs. We've got coaching standards now that we didn't have before. We've done quite a bit of work with the coaches. Clay has done a fantastic job. There's a lot more FaceTime, and that by and large funding is a big part of it. In terms of how the board operates, a lot of these things are moving in the right direction. It's going to be time now. And I said this even when I first came president. I think I mentioned, and I'm sure if you can go back, it would take 8 to 10 years, I can see, because we're in that developmental stage. Right. But I truly believe the building blocks are there. And now it's getting more of, at the grassroots level, that's where our focus is, capturing the kids at an early stage, getting back into the schools. Cricket is a passion. It's something you just don't get out of the air. It starts at that stage of their life. So we're trying to harness that as best we can and make sure that when we capture these kids, girls and boys, that we have set the programs in place, which we do have in place, to make sure that staging of the next stage of their life and to their career development in cricket, that they can see over the horizon. And that's what we've been doing.
If you look at the past few weeks and the scores, low scores, especially Cutbatch and Eastern County, you look at those two matches there, is that a reflection of the standard of cricket currently? The low scoring.
It's so many variations
right.
as to why you would have a low scoring game. It could be it could be player, it could be the ability of players, but it also could be the environment. It could be the wicket. Cut match, you only had 1 day of real good cricket. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm not gonna shy away from it. The standard is not where we want it to be. Right. That's something that we saw way back before I even came. When I was before I was president, I was just sitting on the board as the vice president. Second vice president, we identified then that we need to put in the programs and help with things like our academies. And we've seen, we've got good products come from our academies. Right. We've had Delray Rollins, we've had Fray, I can go on. And these are good products. We want more of that. But we need the clubs to be more innovative with us. They need to be, and they are. They're starting to. I'm happy to report that we now have that relationship, that they now understand the importance. I said that in the reward speech last year. Mm-hmm. That clubs, we all come from club cricket. We can't ignore that. That's the gateway in, and it's the gateway out. So to harness players, to understand where players are, and to make sure that those programs are continued. and to identify players that, I've said this even in cup match, to the 2 cup match stuff. There should be no players playing in cup match that shouldn't play for the national team. It's those types of standards we need to put in play. The coaching element of it is very, very important. And I think that's something that we've worked hard over the last few years. Still work to be done, with the introduction of the level 1 and level 2 sanctioned courses from the ICC that we're putting on, because that's where it all begins. It starts from getting the kids, getting them early, and the coaching standards, moving them up even into senior level cricket.
Umpiring. How will we address the shortage? Because in Bermuda, officiating is not the most easiest thing to do, and wanting to get people to give up their time, although you get paid, but give up their time for the abuse,
sure.
Both on and off the field.
Sure. We've as well, as I said, the relationships, this is something that we have also garnered over this past year, or 2 years, but mainly in this last year. Something that we saw as a board of being, because with the strategy, those people, like the clubs, umpires are critical. Without the umpiring, we don't have cricket.
Right.
So we've been working closely with the umpires to help identify what things needs to be done. Do we need to get a bigger pool? Just like I need more pool of players, well, they need more pool of umpiring and the standard of umpiring quality. The board has been, forthcoming in trying to assist umpiring as best we can, making sure that those umpires who are, at the cusp of in terms of their credentials, get more exposure. But certainly on the domestic front, that has been an issue and something that we're looking to address with the Umpire Association in due time.
You mentioned that it's going to take about 10 years for the quality.
8 to 10 years,
8
sure.
to 10 years.
Yeah.
Curators, we're running very low on them. How will that be addressed? I know it's a club issue, but it's also
Curators.
people that prepare wickets.
Okay, sure.
Right.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
We see that number dwindling year after year after year. How will we address that in years to come? Because it's going to be a huge issue.
Sure. And these are things, again, as we sit with the clubs and the administrations of those clubs, how important it is for the preparation of wickets. Again, the board has, over the years, put its arm out to try to assist us, because it is, in all these things we speak about, it is definitely resource intensive, and that's something that we don't have the luxury of.
Right.
And we know the clubs struggle with that. But what we do is, at the board level, is try to assist to make sure that we give them as much of scope that they need, and the assistance based on whether it be education on preparing wickets, or we would also assist in seeing where, if there is availability from another club or facility that they can lend a hand. But again, it is definitely an avenue, something that we're going to tackle in this year with the clubs.
What can one see next year from your administration for cricket?
Well, our next stage is, like I said, the building blocks, which I'm happy that they're in place, and it took some time to get there. I think we're going to start to see the fruits of that labor coming soon. Now is to get more technical profiling of players. I've spoken to the board at the last several meetings that we need to now look at more systematic stuff. Data is important. Data does not lie. Data tells the truth on how players are whether a batsman or bowler, are they able to hit an onside shot? Are they able to score 3 out of 4 balls? That's the data that we're missing. Some of it's captured, and we do some of that today, but we need a more holistic approach, and something that the board needs to harness, as well as maybe have at a point in time, have the clubs feed into that system so they can have the ability to do that as well. So that's what we're going to start to look at more. Continue to embrace and grow the academy. Look to continue to place students in the UK. We think that's worked well for us and continues to work well. Exposure internationally is important for us. Geographically is always a challenge for Bermuda, because things now are very, very expensive. But we're always looking to work with our partners, whether it be the ICC, even in the West Indies, which we're continuing to do on a daily basis. And so that's the things that we're going to be pushing. Definitely in the education system, I mentioned earlier, we're going to look to try to push to get cricket to be top of mind, certainly in the high schools. I think it's critical. So that's what we're going to be pushing over the next year.
Were you a bit concerned that cricket started later this year than normal?
When you say so later, we had the T20.
Right.
So again, this is the innovation part that we can't ignore T20. T20 is part of world cricket.
Right.
We wanted to look at ways that we could be more innovative. So we wanted more participation in the T20, and that was an amazing result. It started 1 month before the domestic league, and in that format, there were many teams on a plate system, and it was well attended. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of people. It would look like Eastern Counties at Bayless Bay at the final. So in starting late, it's always difficult because we also have to work because the fields that we play on are also used for soccer, and that's always been a challenge. Because we have to work with the clubs and their administration, especially at the end of the football season, to get those fields prepared. And then there are clubs who do not have fields, hosting issues that they have to secure. So we do as best we can from a scheduling standpoint, but those are the things. Unfortunately, if the fields are not ready, then it does hold up the schedule. But in terms of what was produced from this year, I'm quite pleased.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Audio Jungle.